Hello and welcome to Nikolai's genetics lessons, and this problem was sent to me by one of my subscribers. Here's a problem. In a short-horned cattle, coat colors are governed by a pair of alleles. Red pigment allele is incompletely dominant over the white allele. One genotype produce red, the other homozygote white, and the heterozygote produce roan, a mixture of red and white. The presence of horns is produced by the genotype that is homozygous recessive, and the polled condition by the dominant allele P. And here's a question: if roan cows heterozygous for the horned gene are made with the horned roan bull, what phenotypic ratio is expected in the offspring? So we have two alleles for one trait, which is color, and allele is capital A and small a. These two alleles can produce in diploid organisms three genotypes: capital A, capital A, capital A, small a, and small a genotype. And because we have here incomplete dominance, instead of two phenotypes, we have three phenotypes here. Homozygous dominant would produce red pigment, heterozygous genotype would produce roan pigment or roan color, and I don't have this color, so just let's pretend that this is roan color, and homozygous recessive genotype would produce white color in these cows. Let's read our problem again. If roan cows are crossed with roan bull, that give us exact genotype of the cross. So cow have to be heterozygous because she is roan, and bull also have to be heterozygous for this trait because bull is also roan. So we have to cross two animals that is going to be heterozygous for this trait for color. Now let's read about presence and absence of horns. So if roan cow heterozygous for the horned gene, so once again we have another gene here. Let's say this is gene P, so it can be dominant and recessive. Once again, in diploid organism, these two genes can produce three genotypes: capital B, capital B, capital B, and small b genotype. And let's read once again our problem. The presence of the horns is produced by homozygous recessive genotype. So horns are present and horns are not present if this is going to be one of these genotypes. Now let's read our question one more time. If roan cows heterozygous for horned gene, that means this genotype, so cow have to be capital B and small b, so this side going to be female side, this is going to be a male side, mated with horned roan bull, and if bull has horns, genotype have to be small b. So what proportions we can expect, or what phenotypic ratios we are going to expect in the F1 generation. So, because nothing is told that these genes, this loci for these two genes are on the same chromosome, nothing is said that this is linked genes, we have to consider that these genes are on different chromosomes. So for each allelic pair, we can make a different Punnett square. So we know that both female and male animals are heterozygous for the color. Both of them are roan. And now let's build a Punnett square and find probabilities what colors such a mate can produce in their progeny. Capital A here, capital A small a here, capital A small a here, and small a here. 1/4 such a cross would produce red pigment in progeny. 1/4 would be intermediate color, so 1/2 would be roan, and 1/4 of the progeny would be white. Now let's take a look what would happen if one parent, female parent, would be heterozygous for the second trait, horns. So this cow would be hornless, and if we cross with a bull that is going to have horns. So female phenotype, genotype, sorry, here on the side, capital B, small b, and male's genotype would go on top, small b, small b. So once again we build a Punnett square, and this is what we can expect for this trait in their progeny. Capital B, small b here, capital B, small b here, and small b, small b, small b, small b here. So heterozygous genotype, as you see, means hornless, so this progeny wouldn't have horns, and we expect that 50% or 1/2 of the progeny wouldn't have horns. So I would use this sign to designate no horns, and 50% or another 1/2 we expect to have horns. Now I'm going to use fork line method to show you phenotypic ratios. So let's start with the first trait. We can have 1, 2, 3 colors in the progeny. So 1/4, according to our Punnett square, we expect that progeny would be red, so 1/4 red. We also expect that 50% or 1/2 would be roan, so 1/2 would be roan. And we expect that 1/4, according to our Punnett square, would be white, so 1/4 would be white. So now we have ratios for the first trait, and now as for the second trait, it is going to be even easier. So here we can put 2 lines. 50% of the progeny going to be hornless, so 1/2 here, and 50% of the progeny going to have horns. The same ratios here, 1/2 and 1/2, and the same is here, 1/2 and 1/2. So now we have all the ratios. Let's multiply these numbers, and we are going to get, for example, 1/4 multiplied by 1/2, 1/8 of the progeny would be red and no horns. Also we expect that 1/8 would be red and with horns. We also expect that 1/2 multiplied by 1/2 would give us 1/4 of the progeny would be roan and wouldn't have horns, and 1/4 would be roan and would have horns. And also we expect that 1/4 multiplied by 1/2, so 1 1/8 of the progeny would be white and wouldn't have horns, and another 1/8 of the progeny would be white and would have horns. So this is all phenotypic ratios. 1/8 to 1/8 to 1/4 to 1/4 to 1/8 to 1/8. If we add all these numbers, we are going to get 1 or 100%. So all these phenotypes combined together would give us 100%. And this is all for today. Thank you for your attention. Please subscribe for my new videos that I post almost every day. Thumbs up if you like this video. Please write your comments, questions if you have any. Share this video with your classmates, and see you in the next video. Goodbye.